Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Tina Coleman, and I'm a realtor here in Ventura, California. And today, I have a guest that I'm going to be, let's see, I'm going to add her on. Oh, there she is. I have a guest, Jessica Tenney. So Jessica just joined our real estate team, Peak State Performance, with Jeremy Davis here with Real Brokerage. And she used to be, well, she is a realtor in New York, but just moved to Texas. And she's going to be telling us a little bit about the industry and what she's seeing with the real estate market, both in Texas and New York, because she works in both.
Well, thank you, Tina, for having me on. Super excited.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, why you became a realtor, and how long you've been a real estate agent, and where you got your start.
So I started all the way back in 2014. I was very wanting to do like buy and flips and investment properties. And that was like the it thing. Like that's all you saw on TV was these flipping shows. So I got my LLC, started in that. Didn't know anything about real estate. My dad and I joined the LLC together. And we did our first deal together and almost lost everything. We had a
No way.
Yeah.
What happened?
You know what? The agent wasn't giving us the best advice. And we were looking to her for guidance, and she wasn't giving that to us. So when we were already committed into the transaction, it was like too far along. I mean, we did sell the property. We did make a little money, but not enough where it was, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. This is my empire. So that was pretty much it with me on the flipping aspect of it. And then in 2017, that's actually when I became a licensed realtor in New York.
Nice. So you started out with the potential to be a flipper. And actually, it's so funny that you say that because I hear that a lot from other people in my life who want to get into that. Either they're interested in flipping homes or they're interested in, what is that called? Wholesaling.
Okay.
Huge. Those are so popular. But you found real estate. So from going from flipping to real estate, why did you choose to become a realtor?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway from that learning lesson was if I can't be an agent that's good like her, she left the industry shortly after. But for me, yeah, I know, right?
Whoa.
And for me, I was like, that was the learning lesson. Like, I want to be a good agent that runs it, morally, ethically. And I said, if I can't find the right agent to represent me, then I would love to, be my own agent. And I know what I love to do. So my mentality was, I could still do the flipping, but let me be the agent. Let me learn. Let me go with trusted partners. Let me learn from the industry with top producers. And I just ran with it. Never did another flip in my life, but I got into it. I really love what I do. I mean, it's been, like I said, a great roller coaster of a journey, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
I love that. And what area of New York are you working in?
So I was on the east end of Long Island. So born and raised, everyone hears my accent. I can't hide it.
I love it.
I get that compliment all the time. But yeah, Long Island, New York, Riverhead to be exact. So really North Fork, South Fork of Long Island. I was born in the middle. So only like 15 minutes away from the Hamptons and the Vineyard Country. So loved it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And have you primarily worked with buyers or sellers or a mix?
I did a mix. And for me, I had that mentality of I want to help everyone. I want to, doesn't matter buying, selling. But what I really found my niche was towards the end was selling. And that was the biggest thing that I love was doing that transaction on the selling side. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's what I loved. So I kind of dove my business more into the listing aspect. And like I said, if there were buyers that I picked up from an open house or anything, I'm still showing them houses and still trying to help them buy in the process. But my niche was the listings.
I love that. And now you're living in Texas.
I am. So funny. We'll kind of go back to 2014 for a brief moment in time. And that's actually when I met my then boyfriend, now husband. And our first date was, hey, I might be getting a job in Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm looking at him like, I appreciate the honesty. Thank you. I might not even enjoy this dinner and this date. And I might not ever see you again. So that was my mentality then. But turns out he did get the job, and I was only dating him for like 4 months. And I said, I'm going to give up like living here and I'm going to follow you to Texas. So I moved to Texas from 2014 to 2017, which was super cool. I'm actually not that far away from the town where we bought our first house together. And, I got a job with American Airlines. So I was like,
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was flying back and forth. So I was going back and forth from DFW, JFK. That was like my weekly fun. And so we moved back to New York in 2017. That's when, we got married, got my license. So it just kind of ricocheted. We kept the Texas property for an extra 2 years, and then we sold it about 2019. We sold it. So when it came time to, thinking about relocating, I said to him, I was like, I love all the options you've given me, but Texas is it. Texas was home. I still have colleagues that I still talk to this day they're like family to me. They really are. And I said, nothing beats Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. I said, let's just go back. I said, I just want to do it. If I'm going to go anywhere, let's let it be there. So
I love that.
Yeah. So here we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Texas. I like Texas. I think it'd be really hard for me not to live by the ocean, but I love visiting.
You can come down anytime. You're more than welcome.
People are so nice. California is very different from other states. I've lived in California forever, like different parts of Southern California and Northern California, but now I'm on the coast. And people are really nice, but it's a different kind of nice. Exactly. It's the hospitality is very different, like in Texas and the South versus California. And I feel like California can be similar to New York in a way that it's more closed off, I guess. 100%. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. I mean,
and it's just the culture. It's just the way that it is.
It is. I tell everyone I'm the nicest New Yorker you'll ever meet.
I love that. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
And it's something that I notice a lot when it comes to real estate. So I work both in Santa Barbara and Ventura, but I'm licensed throughout the state. Depending on the circumstance and the person that I'm working with, I may be willing to travel out of the counties that I'm most familiar with, but I'm licensed throughout the state. Now, some people who are selling their homes would rather use an agent that knows a particular neighborhood in the county that you work with, thinking that other agents may not know that neighborhood as well as the agent who works only that neighborhood, but that's not necessarily true. So how do you keep up with the markets, both in Texas in your new town and New York, Long Island?
So that's a great question. So on the New York, we'll talk about New York first.
Sure.
For New York, I mean, I was born and raised there. So, I mean, there were certain streets I would see that in like a new listing in a certain town. I would know exactly where that is. So for me on the New York aspect, I just still check. I log in every day on the MLS, and I'll recognize certain towns, certain places. Like I know where they are, geographically and everything. Fort Worth, I was in Roanoke, Texas, so which is in the suburbs of Fort Worth, Texas, but almost on the outskirts. So I'm still there in the main part of Fort Worth. So in that strip, all by American Airlines, where the headquarters were, the Alliance Center, South Lake, Grapevine, Keller, just to name a few towns, like I knew those towns. Like, so I would shop there in South Lake. I would shop at other stores, so in certain towns. So for me, I'm like, let me dive into something that I know. And those are the towns that I'm aware of because I was there, and so now in Fort Worth, I'm learning a little bit of a bigger geographic like area that I'm like expanding, like Justin, that's more north, and for me, I'm realizing study the market, focus in the area and towns that you want. And if I do pick up a client that's looking to buy or sell or invest, that's not in the area I work in, guess what? I'm going to be the hardest working agent to study that market and have enough time to know everything, the ins and outs about that town, that street, that address, and really focus. So as an agent, like even if you did go 50 miles north or south, wherever, you're going to know that market because you're going to dive into it so quickly and learn so fast about the restaurants, the town, the people, the demographics, everything. You're going to know that so quick. So, I say game on.
I love that. And I think that's like, it's so interesting. When I was a baby realtor
Mm-hmm.
and I was with,
Baby girls, I love it.
I know, I started with a boutique brokerage because
Okay.
I didn't know anything. You take all these classes, you pass that really hard test that most people, well, a big majority of people do not pass,
Yeah.
especially the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But I passed it. Now
Nice.
what?
Yeah.
Where do you go? And so I started with a boutique brokerage, and they just did not have the resources to train me at all.
Mm-hmm.
So then I met another agent who was with Coldwell Banker, and I went there, and I just remember meeting this woman who sold a lot of homes, and she said, "Oh, I just study the market." Well, what does that mean? I don't get it. You
Mm-hmm.
look at the MLS. So I had to learn how to study the market as a baby realtor. And if you're not a lazy baby realtor, you can learn all the markets if you just study the multiple listing service, what's selling in the area, what's pending in the area, what's for sale. You can learn and get a better idea of this type of home, the condition of the home, why did it sell for this much versus this one. And it's it's just a matter of studying and putting in the time to learn the areas that you licensed it, basically. So I love that you mentioned that. And I wanted to ask you that because that's a question that comes up. And yeah, I have another question for you. So now that you're living in Texas, but you're still working, so you're working in both areas.
Correct.
How would you describe the real estate market to someone who hasn't been paying attention? Because the most common question I get from people, whether it's like strangers, friends, family, maybe it's just because they don't really know what to say to me. How's the market? So when someone asks you that, what would you say to them for both Texas and New York? How's the market?
So the aspect of tech, we'll talk about Texas first, is when we were looking for our house here, Texas already had that dip in the market. So they were at the bottom of the bottom as far as not only inventory, but as far as like days on market price. So we bought here at like the low of the shift in the market. So which was really great for us.
And what does that look like, or what does that mean, like the low?
So basically, like during pandemic levels, like it didn't go under like 15% of under like normal house. So if a house was originally 400K, and maybe went down to like 375, like 360 or whatever. But that market, so we kind of bought at the low, and they always say, buy low and sell high and all that.
Oh yeah.
But with New York, it was very opposite. We were, you put a house on the market, it could have holes in the wall, it could have damage everywhere, no paint, and it was selling for top dollar. Well, New York recently, and this was my prediction back before the spring, because we put our house on the market in the spring, was there was a big shift in New York. Days on the market were much longer. So it was harder to sell a house. If you were looking at comps and, let's say the comps were like 600 to 700, like in that ballpark, you were trying to place it where strategically you were trying to put maybe like 650 the house and then see if like, hopefully you could get more if you get less. So it was very hard to, get the top dollar on certain towns. I have to be clear on that one, on certain towns. If it was in the Hamptons or in the North Fork, that market was still strong. But if you went a little bit more, as we could say, middle island section of the New York, before like Nassau County, which is closer to the city, we were taking a big hit in Suffolk County. So it made it harder because a lot of those houses were sitting long on the market, less in closed volume. And it wasn't just put a sign on the front yard and you're going to have multiple offers. It was like you had to work that market. So New York is still feeling that effect now. Like you'll see more price reductions. And even my own personal house, like we had to do, I marketed it amazingly and I still had to do price reductions. And it was really crazy because I had upgraded on everything on my house. And
So
yeah, yeah, it's
So
crazy.
why do you think that is? Because that the same thing is happening in my area where, well, I mean, to be fair, we have low inventory, so not a
Okay,
lot of people are selling, but we're getting more buyers from LA, especially, I'm going to say it. I know people say don't bring politics into uh, real estate, but it does affect real
it
estate.
does. It
So
does.
after the Los Angeles mayoral election, we're starting to get more people from the Palisades after the Palisades burned. And
Yeah.
not so much, I'm not noticing a lot of people from Altadena, although I might. But a lot of people from Palisades are moving up here. A lot of people from LA that are just wanting some change, something different. Because let's be honest, LA has some problems. It has some problems with homelessness, and people don't want to live around that. So they're moving up here, but not a lot of sellers are buying here.
Mm,
So our market just shifted.
okay.
For the longest time, it was like New York, where
Mm,
homes were sitting for a while, for about a span of 5 to 6 months ish. Homes were
hmm.
sitting. Um, uh, Homeowners had to lower the price just to try and sell it, or they were taking it off the market. They're like, I'm not going to give my house away.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
so that's what was happening. Now, those people that took their homes off the market, a lot of them rented the homes out.
Hmm.
And in California, we have a lot of like very strict renter laws. So
Okay.
if you put your home on the market, it's not necessarily, oh, we can give you 30 or 60 days and you have to leave. No, they have a list, they have an agreement for a certain
Mm,
amount of time. So it's very strict here with renters. And if you rent out your home, it can be hard to sell it.
okay.
And it could be hard for a buyer to buy it and move in. They have to let the lease of the renters go. So our market is very different, but it's really nice to hear about LA. So homes are still taking a while to sell. About how many days are homes sitting on the market? Do you know?
About around 70 to
Okay.
80 days.
Yeah, that's about us too. But that's a lot faster than like 90.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
And then what about Texas? What are you seeing there?
So what I've noticed, which is actually kind of like a little bit mind blowing for me, which is like I said, the shift in the market, the change in the market is how they're different. But a lot of the houses that were, on the market, expired, canceled, withdrawn, and they were vacant, kind of thing what you were mentioning about like the tenants and the renters, and when you,
Yeah,
cold call, some of these sellers, and you're like, hey, are you putting the house back on the market? What's going on? I see, it's vacant. What's your plans? What's your intentions? They're like, we already have it rented out. We're good for a year. And it's just mind blowing because, that's what I've been experiencing more on seeing that with the houses. Just more houses are getting rented out. They don't sell in that 6 months. And
yeah,
that's crazy because in New York, there's not a lot of go-in shows. There's
sure.
not a lot of vacant houses. So it's like so weird to see the aspect of that versus here.
Yeah. And where are the buyers coming from that you're noticing are coming into your area in Texas?
So it seems like Oklahoma City is one, which is like
Okay.
I didn't like realize. I mean, it's very close, it's, within a few hours, but I noticed that was like one market which I thought was very appealing. Another one was some New York, but they're more in the city, like what we'll
Yeah,
say, more in the city, not on the Long Island aspect of it, Queens
sure.
and that kind of stuff. But North Carolina, is another market that they're coming and
Huh.
relocating. So it's just weird that you get all the locals that are relocating in general. I've noticed that a lot of people just relocate in Fort Worth itself, and they just either upgrade or downgrade. Like it's funny. It's funny. A lot of Fort Worth stay in Fort Worth. Just they'll go a different part of the town of Fort Worth.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah,
people really aren't leaving Fort Worth. People in Fort Worth are staying, but then you're seeing people move in from Oklahoma City, correct? And then
Oklahoma
parts
State.
of New
Mhm.
York.
Yep.
And have you had conversations with people like, why Fort Worth? What makes you want to move from Texas to Fort, or not Texas, New York to Fort Worth?
Just
Or
I think just in general, the relocation and in general, why are people moving to Fort Worth? I mean, I could tell you a couple good reasons. I mean, for me, I'll give you my top choices. One, lifestyle. Lifestyle was huge.
Mhm.
Just the opportunity. There's so many kid parks, playgrounds, like just we just have Universal Studios open up.
Really? That's
Yeah, it's
cool.
yeah, Universal Studios open up July 1st, believe it or not.
No way.
So you have that. So now I don't need to go to Disney now.
Yeah.
You have, there's like this thing called Dig World, which is actually like the machines that the kids actually get to play with.
Oh,
That's
cool.
opening up soon. It's just every time I feel like I'm on Instagram, there's always just something for the kids. So if you have a family oriented, for me, that was the biggest thing. My kids were young. My kids are 6 and 4. So for me, I wanted to give them a better lifestyle that I had. So that was one. Number two would be weather. Weather wise, we have like 300 days of just sun,
Oh,
uh,
that's nice.
which is great. I mean, it's like 90 something degrees out today. And, we went swimming a little bit earlier with the kids and had fun with, that. So we're
Yeah.
close to the pool. So we're always in the HOA pool. Just the weather. Like Long Island is very, gray and gloomy. And there's only,
Really?
yeah, we only have like a handful of days of like
Interesting.
decent weather. And then when we do have decent weather, guess what? We have traffic from the city, the Hamptons. It's back to back, and everyone's trying to get out there in the summer. Our summer's much smaller, of a time frame versus here in Fort Worth.
That's
And
so wild.
yeah,
That sounds just
yeah,
like where I live because
yeah.
we have May gray, we have
Okay,
June
yeah.
gloom, and I think we need to figure out something to rhyme with July because July has started to get pretty gloomy. So, but
Okay.
it's my favorite time of the year because it just means that it's not going to be windy.
Okay.
And I spent so many years surfing and taking people kayaking that being in the wind is terrible. So I
Yeah.
love the gloom, but Long Island sounds like Ventura.
I think it is. It could be because, like I said, it's very a lot of times overcast, rainy, cloudy, cold. By Halloween, it's too cold for me. Like for me, I used to be fine during the winter. Now I'm like by Halloween, I'm like I'm done. I'm out. I'm staying home. I force
Wow.
myself to go Halloween because of the kids, but like too cold. you know.
Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
So for someone who's looking to buy a home in your area or even in New York, what advice would you give them? Um, there's interest rates, as we know, are high.
Hmm.
And people are really worried about that. They're also worried about just various things happening in our country, within the world. But what advice would you give a new buyer who wants to buy and build their wealth, but they're just not sure when the right time is?
So that's a really great question, honestly. And I think it boils down to everyone's different. So that's right off the bat. It's hard. Know what your must-haves are. Meaning, like, I must have a garage. I must have your must-haves and your non-negotiables. I think is huge because you don't want to see 20, 30 homes and you're like, well, now I want a garage or now I wish the house had a garage. You don't want to have that like what if. So
Mhm.
write a list of what you want in a property. And I think that kind of helps right there alone is like saying, these are what I want. This is my budget. Is it doable? Do I need to expand in certain towns that would give me more bang for my buck? So I would say that would be one. That would be the one thing.
Mhm.
And number two is don't be afraid to start in a starter home. So, start with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, like stay there for, 5 to 7 years, build up the equity and then get the dream home. I
Yeah.
was, I was working with a lot of buyers at that one brief time in New York, and they were trying to go after their, $1 million dream home on a
Yeah.
$700,000 budget. And I'm like, wait a second, our numbers are not adding up. We can't do this.
Yeah.
So just know what you want and realize it's okay to upgrade. I mean, that's what Sam and I did. We bought a beautiful home, water views, and it was so under our budget. And we were like, this is a great opportunity to own this
Mhm.
house. It was super cute, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And we knew this was not our dream home. Like we just
Mhm.
knew it wasn't our dream home. And we said, but for the price, the location, being by the park, being like 2 minutes away from the marina and the beach, no brainer. So we
Yeah.
went under our budget. And now I kind of forced and said, oh, we'll move next year. Oh, we'll move
Yeah.
next year because our bills were like nothing. And I kept saying, like, we have no bills. We'll just keep saving money. And that's what we did. We saved so much money because, we put in the fruits of the labor by
Mhm.
sacrificing up in advance. And now we're living like we won the lottery. It's
Yeah,
how the best way I can describe it.
it's true. I always tell my buyers, well, firstly, I always tell my buyers, you don't know what you don't know.
Hmm.
So go talk to a lender. They're going to tell you if you can afford a home or not. And if you can't, they'll figure out a way and create a game plan for you so that you can in the future. So you don't know what you don't know. Second, I agree with you. You got to have your must-haves. If you're kind of going in willy-nilly, like, oh, la la la, I'm going to go just check out these homes without knowing what you can afford and
Hmm.
without knowing what you want,
Yeah.
can't we can't help you. And
Exactly.
you're just gonna be getting you'll get frustrated, um, feel like there's no home for you. So it's you can always find a home, and I agree with you. I've been seeing videos online about the starter home is dead and la la la. There's a lot of doom and gloom in the world, but that's not true. The starter home is still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's super important to have a starter home, and usually the very first home a buyer buys is not going to be their forever home.
Yep.
It's pretty
Exactly.
unusual that that happens. And
Exactly.
it is a great way to build wealth. You're 100% right. So
Yeah.
I got my last question for you.
Go for it.
So Jessica, would you be willing to share a client success story for our viewers?
Yeah. Where do I begin? I might need about a couple minutes to think about it.
Or like
Oh,
your most recent or most
most
memorable?
recent. God, that's a great question. It really is a great question. I really appreciate it. Thank you,
Yeah.
making me really think on this. I would just say probably a couple of the greatest moments I've had in real estate is working with a family that's not only has gratitude, but that not only they become your best friends,
Yeah.
and they reach out to you, and I just had a client who called me, oh my god, maybe 2 weeks ago, and I haven't talked to her in a little bit, but we talk on Instagram mostly, DM each other, and she was asking me questions, and very personal questions actually, and I was just like so honored that she was trusting me with that, and just saying, hey, like, last time I saw you, here's kind of what's happened. And I talked to her as a friend. So that was like number one. So I felt so honored that she would even reach out to me on something that's changed her life. So that
Yeah.
was, to me, that would be a success story, because it's meaning referrals. And for that, we had I'm closing on a $1.6 million listing tomorrow.
Woo.
And yeah, horse property, which is amazing, out in New York. And I guess I will say that was probably a more recent client. I sold her daughter her house, maybe, oh my God, I think 2021 or 22. I sold her daughter her
That's a
first
long
home,
time.
her starter home. And her mom was incredible. We just, when you hit it off with someone, you become like best friends. So her mom and I just clicked. And I have to say, she's just one of the sweetest persons. Like, she would get the shirt off her back. And all the things that she has done for the community, the Long Island community, was just incredible. So she called me back in November and says, Jess, I'm ready to start a new chapter. I want to get my house on the market and expand my horse empire. And I only want you. She goes, I know a bunch of other realtors, but she goes, I only trust you. And I just said, oh my God, I'm very humbled and honored. And yeah, we got on the market. We had a long period because it was a commercial deal. So it took a little bit longer to, go through the process. But no, she's just incredible woman. We're going to be closing.
That's
And
exciting.
so
And
just
it's
little things like
must
that.
feel
Just
good.
recently, I can't,
It feels so good when you can have a relationship with your clients and do good for them.
yeah.
And it feels good to be trusted as well. And I know you're a really wonderful realtor.
Thank you.
People call you because you've been one of the best and trusted realtors in New York, and now you're going to become that in Texas.
I'm super excited to start my journey in Texas. I really am. And like I said, I'm not laughing when I say I feel like I'm like one of the nicest New Yorkers ever, because I treat people like family. I tell them, straight to their face, like, if it's a great idea, like, I'm not gonna, I don't have that commission, bro. And I would never want the commission, bro, because you know what? I work so hard in my 9 years of as being an agent, and it's taken me so long to scale, and you don't want to lose that reputation, because let me say, you build up a career, and that's why I said I'm not gonna lose something that I'm gonna be honest to someone and be like, hey, I don't think this is gonna work for you, but let's try maybe this and this. Will this work? And that's what it is. It's about negotiation. Like, if you can't negotiate and help your clients,
Yeah.
maybe this is not the business for you. But if you can negotiate and think outside the box, and realize this is a long-term game, not a short-term game,
Yeah.
your mindset's gonna like that.
I love that. Actually, well, do I want to tell a story? I'll just tell a really quick one,
All right,
because
go for it. Let's do it.
it's so important for us as realtors. And I love that you bring that up. Us as realtors care about the people that we work with, not just to make a deal happen and make money. It's to protect our buyers and sellers. So I know a woman who, she didn't know me at the time, so
Mhm.
it's okay that she didn't use me as her realtor. And thankfully, I wasn't that realtor. But she bought a property in Pierpont, which is our beach community here in Ventura. It's very sought after, beautiful home. It is stunning. And this woman told me that her realtor, they had seen some mold in the home, and my friend asked about it. And the realtor said, it doesn't look like anything. I wouldn't worry about looking into it. That little bit of mold that my friend had concern about after the house closed has turned into a nightmare. And there is black mold in her house.
Oh,
And this home is like worth millions of dollars.
oh,
And it's just been a nightmare for her. And she's had to deal with lawsuits and different things, and it's not panning out in her favor, unfortunately. So now she has to figure out what she's going to do with this awful mold
oh.
issue. So it's just so important that us as realtors, rather than working to get that commission, and yes, we should get paid for our work, that's what we do, it's our business, we work hard to make sure that our buyers are getting the best product and that they're protected and happy and they move into a great home.
Yeah. But on the flip side, this is the biggest learning lesson I'm learning. Go with your gut. There's a reason why your gut talks to you and you get a certain vibe, and don't be afraid to ask, for a second opinion or try. But, oh, that's horrible. That breaks my heart. See, like, things like that break my heart, because just so quickly like that happens,
I know.
Oh,
and now if she tries to sell it, she's going to have to disclose that, like, oh, hey, I bought this home and it's got mold.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, crazy times. Well, I really appreciate you coming onto my channel.
Thank
It's
you.
been really nice getting to know you better, and I can't wait to see how your business flourishes and how you flourish in Texas as you still do work in New York.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much for having me on, Tina. You're the best.
Yeah.
And many more to come, many more podcasts.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye. Bye.